Ain't nothing worse than a smart dumb.
Hey yo! Hey yo! Hey yo! Hey yo!
So welcome everybody to another episode of Smart Dub Podcast. Been quite a while. This next guest, we actually had tried to sync this up. We were going to go live last month, and things happen in life, adulting. We all we all are familiar. We all know about it, but we circled the block, and we are here now. We are here today. So I'm going to say it. If I mess it up, you correct me. Is it Venette?
It's Venette. Yep, you did it.
So please, by all means, take over and just give us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about who you are representing.
Yeah, so my name is Venette. I am an entrepreneur. I run a boutique marketing firm. It's called VP Creative Consulting. I work with brands, mostly nonprofits and foundations, government orgs. So really doing marketing, doing feel-good marketing for those who are do-gooders in the world, right?
Okay.
And there's a big emphasis in helping and supporting Black-owned businesses, Black-owned causes, Black-owned brands, all Black everything. So that's
Nice. Okay, cool. Very good. So my style is like the timeline. Typically, right? Like also my style is we go off whatever road we go off, you know what I'm saying? But like my attempt at, order and structure
right.
is the timeline. So what is it about who how you were raised, who you became, what your schooling is, like how much of that, what part of that shaped where we are in 2022?
Man, that's a great question. All right, so
And break those up into chunks too. No worries.
I've been Black my whole life, obviously, right?
I
I feel like I've had a Black experience as far as like upbringing. Like I went to like predominantly Black elementary, middle, high school, right? Went off to college and it was predominantly white for the most part.
Okay, what school? What college?
UCF. Well,
Okay.
yeah, UCF eventually. So I would have experiences. So I remember being in a marketing role in college, like it was an internship.
Yeah.
Remember like just not feeling like I fit in and not feeling like the work that we did was for people like me, but
Right.
not like verbalize that, right? Like it's this uneasy feeling, but there's
Yeah,
not.
it was an undercurrent and it was microaggressions. That wasn't, you didn't feel like that. Let's be very clear. Like you didn't feel like that. It was like that.
Exactly, right? But I think at that time I didn't know what a microaggression was. And
Right. Right.
after school, I moved back down to where I'm from, which is the South Florida, Palm Beach County area. And I started working with a lot of nonprofits. And we were like heavily invested in like dismantling racism, learning about racism, all of that, right? So I did the Racial Equity Institute training, and it like changed my life. Like it changed how I thought about things, how I viewed things. I was like, oh yeah, like everything I do now has to be centered in like equity and promoting Black voices, etc. So from that point on, I knew that that was like the goal, but I wasn't really sure what that meant, like how that looked, right? So I worked at a few different places where I was always like that person, like the woke person in the room, like, why are we not talking about this and how racism intersects, etc.
Lord.
Right. I was that person. At that point, marketing wasn't like my primary job anymore. It was more so like a part of maybe some of my roles, but it wasn't kind of like what I do. So then fast forward, the pandemic hits, and I was working at an organization that was very much equity focused, and one of my friends actually was the owner. And so when the pandemic hit, she was like, "Hey, like, do you want to launch your own thing at this point? And you know, we'll be your first client." And I'm like, "What?" Like, you know, but I think if there was any time to do something that you've never done, it was that time. Like, we were all about the house. Like, there was so much uncertainty that I was like, okay, I'll do it. And so that's really kind of like what pushed me into entrepreneurship. It was something I've always wanted to do, but I wasn't quite ready, but circumstances made me get ready. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I want to stay right there. I want to
Yeah.
stay right there. Dre, I see you with the question. We're going to definitely address that, get to that. So, yeah, the parallels as far as like the very first thing that I did to start my business was exactly the same. I made just a random Facebook post back when I was very active.
Yeah.
Facebook. And even that, like, even this story is like actually 5 years ago. But I was just like, hey, y'all, what if I'm considering getting, really getting into tutoring more. And I'm just thinking, with 2 likes, 3 likes, 2, 3 comments. They went crazy on and like you said, and some people like, okay, when you start, I got like my daughter's ready. What are we doing? And I worked with a 3-year-old actually. I'll never forget that. She's probably student president at middle school now, because again, that was 5 years. She's probably 8. Yeah, it's probably 8 in 8th grade. Just that girl, brilliant.
Yeah.
But same thing is like, yeah, it was probably been time for me to go, but circumstance. I know what my circumstances were. You know what I'm saying, and then as far as the other point you made, like, yeah, there's entrepreneurship ain't the one that you are ready for. You just go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You go, you plan some things, you make some mistakes, you learn on both of them by reading and all that, and then just by having an experience of living life. And if best is if you can have some kind of experience through somebody else, let them make a mistake and learn from them. But usually it's got to be the more you invested in it, the more you really understand, like, okay, I could do this and could have done that.
Yeah. I have to say something too, because I am a planner naturally, right? Like, a part of just like my personality, the work, my skill set. And so that was what always made entrepreneurship so scary, because it was just like, I can't plan for everything. Like, I could have like X amount of money saved up and I could do this. No, there's just so many things that could happen, and I had to let that go. Like, you just
have to, right?
You just gonna be planning and never moving. So that's the part for anyone who is considering it. Like, you can't try and plan it, right? Because it's never work out 100% how you.
Yeah, because everybody's like, it's very popular now to say, for example, it's slightly off topic, like to say school needs to teach financial education. Yeah. So it's some state mandated, like it was the first state mandated, right? And it's like, all right, that's cool, but it's really just lip service like everything else. What's going to happen? They're going to have a class. It's going to be just as unclear as algebra and English. You know what I'm saying? Like, 3 smart people going to get it. Other people going to figure it out, and the ones that are completely lost but don't speak up are going to have no idea what, you know what I'm saying? Like, and, as soon as that first week you get behind, you're going to be behind the whole class, because this was the final, you know what I'm saying? So, like, we have got to get away from somebody else is responsible for it, because the reality of it is, no matter what this is, now we bring this back to entrepreneurship, besides the fact that experience is the best teacher, YouTube alone is a great teacher, right? Like, Google alone, like library, all of that has existed the entire time. Now, the process for, some I can say the same thing can be stated 8 different ways: YouTube video, book, preacher, whatever, your parents. One of those ways is the one that's going to click.
Yeah.
And you don't really, I mean, some people know their style, but for any individual, you don't know what it is until it's like, oh, I get it now. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know. So all of that is really to say, like, people get stuck over planning because they were told to. Because and we're gonna focus a lot of this on Black people. And I know we said we was gonna do this, and we're gonna do this.
Yeah.
So we're told, don't start this business until it's perfect.
Yeah.
You know, work twice as hard to get half of that. First of all, I completely reject that now. That's me personally. Second of all, it was debatable for entrepreneurship. Yes, your great project is still going to get overlooked because of nepotism. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't going to be because it wasn't good enough. They're going to tell you that because, like you said, they were in the 90s and 2000s really, really, really good at masking.
Right.
Partially because it was subconscious to some extent, but others because they were just really good at lying. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So, like, a lot of people's projects have been great. How many times, this is open question, as a product that went crazy, one of us had already done it?
Oh, probably too much to count. Like,
do you remember what mine was? Not the first recording box. The first, you said what is that called? The first box where it was the DVR. That was yours. Dre said his was a pet rock. Yeah, let me look it up.
That's dope. So you had this idea and you kind of sat on it because
I didn't know what to do with it.
Right.
I didn't know what to do with it. What are those called?
Right? Like, I think we have to be honest about the fact that a lot of Black and brown people just don't have access to the resources. So I think
that is also true.
Yeah, like, we feel like we're not as good because our things aren't, being propelled.
TiVo, I'm sorry, TiVo.
TiVo? Okay.
Yeah, like that concept. I was like, oh, that would be dope if, and I didn't do nothing with it. Yeah, sorry, my bad. Go ahead.
No, dang. How many nights does that keep you up?
Right. No, that's a fact. Like, we'll leave that as a rhetorical question.
Yeah. There's a few realities. It's just that, like, we have these ideas, we just don't have the resources or the connections to, put behind it what's needed for it to move forward.
Here's what's crazy. The whole time that we thought that, I thought that entrepreneurship meant think of the idea, then personally do the thing, then figure out how to also be the seller. Then, like, at this point, it's very transparently, I have the idea, I'm the business mind behind it. My parts go to, China. My call center is both overseas and some people here. My engineer is, whoever. It's not always about, like, it's somebody overseas. The point is the owner probably does none of that directly. And we didn't know that, again, because we weren't taught that. And we weren't taught that because they didn't know. To be very clear, we were taught to go learn how to be entrepreneurs from non-entrepreneurs.
Right.
So they didn't even, that's one of my, VP, well, I got to get him back on as a guest. It's just, he's going to cuss for the hours. So some of y'all, some of the sensitive guys got to worry about that. But, like, he says a lot, and a lot of people say a lot, that, like, the people that we learn the most from, parents and other influencers who have steered us the wrong way accidentally. Mm-hmm. They meant well.
Yeah, they're very.
But a lot of that was wrong. Like, a lot of being successful as an adult is unlearning, church, school, family, you're very loud, grandma, uncle, auntie, like, just because they were insisted doesn't mean it was true.
Right.
And the right way to go for it. And it doesn't mean it was the right one for yourself.
Right. Exactly. I think that's the struggle, right? Because one of the best things you can do just as a human being, I think, is find a mentor. And I know, a lot of times we don't cross paths with people who, we would seek mentorship from, but that's something you should actively look for.
Go ahead and do me one favor. Say that again.
Say that again.
The first. I'm being an asshole right now. Go ahead and repeat your point. One of the best things we could do is.
One of the best things you can do, period, is to find a mentor. And that can be for every aspect of your life. That could be for particular aspects, but there's so much to be learned by building relationships and learning from those who have done what you've done, or, you know, are doing what you want to do. And so, yeah, that's like one of the best pieces of advice that I've ever gotten.
And it's simple and it's straightforward, and people already knew it.
Yeah.
They just didn't do it. You know what I'm saying? They figure like the first thing I have to do again is invent this spaceship. You know, like, no, it's the basics. But you know, the thing about that though is the basics aren't sexy. They're not comfortable. They don't, like, I got a mentor doesn't get 100 likes.
You know what it is too, though? It's not even, because if Oprah's your mentor, people want to talk about that, right? So it's like people feel like your mentor has to be. Oh yeah. You know,
that's a great point.
Like the person that can act, and it really is not that deep. Like, you can call a corporation and look at their C-suite, and let's use marketing for example. Look at the marketing executive and email that person. Be like, you know, can we do coffee? I really just looking for a mentor. I want to learn from you. You know, be professional about it. Don't be weird. But you can learn so much from that person. Unnecessarily or Diddy, which I think what a lot of people think.
So, you know, I was privileged enough to have quite a few internships. One, you know, experience will also teach you what not to do. So in the same vein, you can technically have a mentor of a bad version, you know, of complete mistakes and be like, yep, not doing none of those things. Dre on a comment said, we should also find a way to be a mentor ourselves. And what makes, one of the things that makes that a very profound statement is you get to surprise yourself. I don't know this, I don't know that, I don't know nothing. Next thing you know, you done taught somebody else. And you're like, yeah, I'm kind of nice. Like, wow, I didn't even know I knew that. You know what I'm saying?
That's a great, definitely find a way to be a mentor too, because you learn a lot by mentoring someone else.
Sure, for sure. So I think what I like about what this conversation has done so far, again, purely organically, is all this comes back to boutique marketing. Mm-hmm. So, you know, like, one of the things I'll say is one of the reasons, you know, the best things that did for me as a mentor is when I realized how many terrible businesses are doing great. Like, you know, when they, like, so I did a lot of dabbling with multi-level marketing. Ultimately, you know, it's not for me, but like, I don't consider it a scam. I get a lot of good information from that, arguably more so than I got from clocking it in from 9 to 5, which I still do. Actually, I don't. I clock in when I clock in. I stop working when I stop working, and I turn projects in, you know, in a timely manner to keep my boss happy. So I'm like a entrepreneur, a safe entrepreneur. You feel me? Like, I know what my tasks are, but I have the autonomy to do it. But like, that's so nobody 20 years ago would have told me that, you know, that it's okay to wake up today and not be okay. Right. Take a mental health day, or I didn't sleep well. I'm gonna tell y'all I didn't sleep well. Sleep in a little bit, but you don't have to worry. I'm gonna be on at 7 p.m. I'm gonna log on at Saturday when I feel like I should do that. Right. You know what I mean? And you know what I'm saying? So like, coming back to marketing, a great marketing strategy hides bad business, but accentuates good business to where the message is so powerful that they believe that your final goal is coming. So then you get with that, now you have more rope. Like, they know, like, nah, I feel like I don't need to micromanage. I don't need to keep checking in.
Right.
We had an agreement. They have, their mission statement, and I feel like they will deliver that. So again, at a bad, like, billion-dollar company pretends, pays money, say Black Lives Matter during the Super Bowl. Now I'm sitting there, whoa. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay. But in a good situation, like, you are telling that story, who you are, what makes you tick, what motivates you, and all that type of stuff. People's like, they just get behind that message. And so I think that, I feel like that's some of, at least just a little bit of what you're doing. It's very important, especially that you serve us.
Right. So I think what is so hard about like where I am, and I'm pivoting more into the space where I want to work with bigger brands to help them with like equitable marketing, right? Is I know these people don't mean harm. Like I know that they really think that they're doing something great by sending out a Black Lives Matter e-blast during like the protests and things like that. But there's just so much to be taught that I think you have to for real be invested to care enough to do that, right? Because at the end of the day, our attention span is so short. You're just going to remember, oh, okay, Macy's did send me like a Black Lives Matter email, or during Juneteenth, they put the fist up in the header. I feel good about them. And so it's just, more of the same. But at the end of the day, it's only going to continue a cycle of like inequitable and like racist marketing, to be frank. So it has to go deeper than just like a quick message. It has to go into, what are the company's values? How are you hiring? How are you treating employees? All these other things that will infiltrate your marketing long term, as opposed to just a real nice
surface statement. Yeah. So I don't want to harp on like the bad examples don't deserve the energy. So exactly what you just said. Some of them have like this, and actually some of them have the awareness to know this is our starting point. This is, and we are actually, we don't know how to though. So we can do, this was easy. We know how to do this mess. The reconstruct the inner workings of the situation. We actually know we need to. We don't know how. So that comes back to, again, I can salute Dre and the each one teach one. Like this didn't get fixed yesterday on Juneteenth. It won't get fixed next Juneteenth.
Right.
So, the worst thing that someone can do is pretend there's a quick Band-Aid. The best thing one can do for themselves is admit that it's going to be a process. And, again, this is entrepreneur work. This is a process. I don't know how long it's going to take, but if you're really committed and really willing to learn and grow, then more times than not, even when you do slip up along, in the course of a year, but there will have been so many positive steps, again, that people will, let you ride.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think some companies are really trying. So I remember not too long ago, Procter & Gamble, they shared that they're looking for Black creatives to come consult with their team, right? Because something else that corporations have to be mindful of is that just because you hire a Black executive, once you're a part of that system, that racism is not not easy to get past, right? So like
the Obama effect.
Right. Like you don't want to be the one to say like, hey, this is kind of messed up. Like you're the only Black person. Everyone's looking at you to co-sign or sign off on everything. That is a lot of pressure to put on somebody, right? So other people who it doesn't matter how you feel, they're outside consultants, is a really good strategy to make sure that what you're doing is not necessarily like it aligns and it doesn't put the weight on one person's shoulder.
Right for sure. Like when I say Obama effect, it's like, okay, the leader, which is not true, president is not the you know what I'm saying? But the leader was Black, so now the Black problems are solved, and the Black guy is gonna always. That's where we got mad at him. The Black guy is gonna always do work for the Black people.
Right.
Like none of that was true, and and a lot of that, it's crazy. So It's not crazy. I give people too much credit. Like, why didn't you just why didn't that click then? But then that's being unreasonable to myself, because how many things have I missed over and over and over again, and it just clicked right now? It was like, well, we actually told you this 27 years ago, like a very long time ago. You know what I'm saying? So let me extend that same grace to the next person. But like, yeah, exactly what you just described. Like, one black person does not topple a structure. And that is, you know, I mean, if we were to go off, which we won't, but like police and anything else, it's not, you know, this whole thing will just go on the inside, like theoretically. But if we're not attacking the structure, me keep blaming this white guy, like all he's going to do is get replaced by another white guy that's going to keep the thing. And then he's going to get replaced by a black woman, and she's going to, you know, become vice president. Anyway, I'm sorry. So basically, I'm gonna edit that one. I'm not. So I get like, so, you know, it's just I really just, how you stated it was a very good point. And I mean, I think that is important. It's worth restating. Like, none of this work is short term. It's good for you. So this is what I kind of want to pivot on, because you're never going to run out. As long as you keep wanting to do this, you are never going to run out of
wanting to, right? Like, it's not easy. I think it's taxing. And I think, you know, self-care is important when you are in, when you're doing this type of work. So yeah, it's not easy. So the wanting to, thank you for saying that. As long as you, I'm wanting to. So,
okay. Man, we can, again, if this could be
right.
so easily. So here's my first thoughts. So we're going to go here. Do you agree with the statement that, like, right now, this is like a renaissance isn't the best word, but like, this is the time for black people to capitalize in corporate America and entrepreneurship. So like, you know, again, it comes back to the get your foot in the door, work hard, and then wait for them to give you a raise. It's been horseshit. Like, it's been disproved for years. You know what I mean? So like, do you ever feel like, okay, I feel like I'd be good with this amount for the services, but I kind of low key right now have a built-in extra because, you know, because Black Lives Matter for the next, you know, 7 months. So let me, you know, it's kind of like stocks. Like right now, this, or it's like the housing market. This is a seller's market right now. Like, let me take advantage of, like, do you believe that, and have you tried to do that at all?
That's a good question. I do think right now is a time where everyone is interested in hearing from brown voices, and there's a lot of interest. There's a little bit more grace. But I hope, and I feel like, knowing some Gen Zers, hopefully, fingers crossed that this is true, like, I think we're moving in the right direction slowly, right? Like, I don't know if you know any Gen Z kids, they're not all kids, but they don't play. Like, they're so, they're not with any of the isms. Like, don't bring that around. They will quit your job the second you say anything.
Yo, I'm gonna give a shout out to multiple little teenage white girls and white boys, and they'll turn on their camera and they will tell their grandfather something about themselves and just look at the camera like, look how mad he is. Everything he said was wrong just now, but look at how mad, you know what I'm saying? Like, so no, 100%, like, that's you know, that's bravery that some people don't, you know, own, because I can't say that at my job or whatever other reason, you see what I'm saying? And they don't have, like, there's a way to use privilege for good and salute the people doing that.
Exactly. So that gives me a lot of hope. Like, I think we're headed in the right direction. I do think now is the time to catch people's attention while corporations, et cetera, are listening, especially as a Black creative. But I hope now isn't the only time. Like, I hope there's continual room for that, you know, as we move forward into the future.
Powerful statement. The how you got to do that is this is the time, if nothing else, to get those roots set.
Right.
Get those roots set. Excuse me.
Yeah.
And so then when it's not like, you know, because the thing is, again, in my opinion, you know, things are hot. Anybody can capitalize somewhat, but really the people who really put the foundation started here, so they've been getting profit the entire time.
Right.
But then when it's not hot anymore, those who did the proper work are still, so like overall, this is a bad idea. This is a terrible industry to be in. But really means that there's not as much opportunity for everybody, but the people who've been putting in the proper work are still doing fine. Like a recession is on the way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that doesn't mean that every single American is about to suffer. Some people are about to eat off of the struggle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
I definitely think, you know, people are listening. People, I mean, Juneteenth had some hiccups from the marketing standpoint. Questionable marketing, but I think corporations want to get it right. So they're open to getting it right.
I was like, because we also, you know, and I will go into this further, but we also are in Pride Month, and you know, and salute, you know, they're doing. I really want to make one good point about them and keep it going. But out of every mishap, the one that's killing me is Burger King. Did you see this?
What's that one again? Was it the
they had the Whopper with the two tops and the two bottoms.
Yeah. Why?
Where was any, like, what were y'all doing? Like, yo, they were really on their Zoom calls in their bed, like, yep, right, yeah. That, whatever you said, I like that idea. And then, no way that went through any chain of command.
And that's what's great. It probably went through so many, but it's probably a person from the LGBTQ community on that call who was just like, sick of y'all. Go ahead.
Right, you need to find out the hard way. You know what?
Yeah.
I'm trying to talk to y'all. I actually, to that point, I seen LinkedIn. This was just last week. I seen a young lady have that, you know, so-called position, and you know, the team said something, and she actually tried to speak up and say, "I actually said this like weeks ago," and the manager apparently said, "Well, Michael said it better."
Yep.
You know, so that's why. So we're not going to take no responsibility.
Right.
It was your fault.
Right.
You know.
And I can say too, like, I have no problem being like the lone voice in spaces like that, but that even gets to be a lot. Like, you're always a person. People be sick of you. They be like, "Here she go again. She about to tell us what's wrong with this."
Right. That's one of many problems of being supposed to be that voice. It's like, well, we're getting sick of that voice, and so are you.
Exactly.
I don't want to always complain about stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
there's minimal ways to win in that situation.
Yeah, absolutely. So great segue there. Let me say my one piece off. So yeah, Juneteenth, one of the things, and I'm sure it's happened before, but this Juneteenth was very, like, white people decided, and black people empowered white people to say, we are all free.
Yeah.
Slavery has been released for, and it's like, no, it's not. Stop it. We're not doing that at all.
Right.
You know what I mean? Except it sounds good to say we're going to do it, because like I said, some black people, like, the call is coming from in the house. They're over here opening the door like, come on in, you know, still inviting people to the cookout and all that dumb shit, right? So what I want to say is, and like all of these, like right now, black people, you know, activists have been putting in work for years, are finally seeing some of the fruits of that labor. What we're then seeing is a lot of insert other community here co-opting. And so, yes, some of the conversation is, you need to chill. But some of the conversation for us needs to be, if they're copying us, then we're doing something right. So keep doing that thing. Like, this person has seen you, you know, again, we got some activists, we got some social justice people that have been putting in work for 15, 20, their whole lives. Some of our relatives, they study it for like 2 weeks, figure out how to make it work. Why are we not doing that? Like, why are you so focused on everybody leave our movement alone instead of figuring out how you can make it work?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So like, I feel like, you know, and again, is everybody going to click off that and agree with that today? No, but hopefully somebody, you know, somebody catches like pay attention to the copy the copy. The copiers are looking for the trends that work and they're playing off there. Right now, we're one of the trends. You know what I'm saying? And yes, thank you. I'm paying attention to these comments. Being an ally to the cause is trending right now. That's another, like, there are many people. Some of them are really have good intentions. Shout out, salute to those. We're supporting you because we believe you supporting us. And some of them are putting on a costume and playing a great role.
Yeah.
And benefiting. You know, it is what it is. But like, again, that all comes back to, if, you know, any of us who have spent too much time complaining about why this other person instead of us benefiting, at some point you got to look within. Like, that's a problem. Okay, right. So that was my little tangent. I don't know. Yeah, I wanted to get back to the self-care one, but if you, I don't know.
No, I mean, I agree with everything you said, especially that comment, being an ally is trending.
Yeah. That was powerful.
It's really hard to At the end of the day, I feel like you really don't know true allyship until like your feet are to the fire, right? Like, so I think to some extent you kind of have to just embrace allies with like a slight eye, like just be ready.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, with the same energy that we have, as soon as a black business does one thing wrong, we on their head. Like, do that, you know?
Yeah.
Think about it. That's cool. So now, okay, we're gonna step into self-care for sure, because that's always important to me.
Yeah.
How much, if any, of your life did you spend in a corporate setting?
I would say the first part of my career, so about 5 or 6 years.
Okay. So as far as that whole, you know, you're the black voice, you're the black, you know, you're the official black, is that a personal, that's, that was, you had to deal with that?
Of course, I could absolutely, like, I even remember, like, one time I came to work with my natural hair, and my colleague was like, "Oh, you got a fro, like, kind of like Ronald McDonald." I was like, and I know this man doesn't even realize that he called me a clown. So, like, you want to go off, but you know, like, you know, and then like being young in your career too, you know,
right? Your career's over, right?
Right, like, like you just kind of like,
wow.
Yeah.
Like, wow. Yeah, I got a prize. You need a moment of silence for that comment, right? Like, oh, God. Wow. And I feel, you know what? I swear, like, yo, everybody who's live real quick, I would love just give me one sentence, because she's not the only one that happened to.
Right.
My name is Jermel, Jermell. Their name, Jerome, Jamal, Jermichael.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah, it's a phonetic spelling.
Yeah.
It's 2 syllables. You know. Then we'll get in the meeting and talk about, you know, Zyqualine, you know, Zyquatline. You know what I'm saying? It's like your ability to pronounce words is amazing until it's a black man or a black woman's name. Crazy how that works. You feel me? Like, it's crazy how that works. So again, that's so funny. I keep listening.
I'll never forget it, because I'm like,
man, I'll never forget it.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So back when most of our beginning of our careers, mental health wasn't a big topic.
Right.
So what did you do about that? You managed to suppress. You managed not to snap.
Yeah.
Did you have any tools at that point, or did you just kind of eat that, and now this is like building up? You know, that it's building up inside you.
Yeah, I think I definitely did not know what to say. Like, and I see like one of the comments is, you know, she would have called HR. Like, I don't think I even knew that was an option, right? Because I'm just like,
That's a fact.
he's like, is he being? Yeah, it's just so many.
Right. No, elaborate on that. We need to hear that one because that's relatable.
Like, is he trying to be funny? Is he, you know, does he realize, like, you just called me a clown? I'm the only Black person. This is my natural hair. It's not rainbow colored. Like, just you running through you're making excuses for him, right? So it's a lot of different things that go through your mind. And so, honestly, I don't know if there was any intentional self-care, but probably like the things that made me feel good at the time, you know, like maybe going out with friends.
Which is okay.
Right. And at the time, I probably didn't realize like, okay, I need some self-care because of how stressful this environment is. It's more so like, this job driving me to drink. Let me get a glass of wine. Let me do this. Let me do that.
Yeah. But no, I mean, we weren't taught. We were taught that you are lucky to be here.
Exactly.
And you need it. And honestly, you know, and arguably maybe, you know, you were, depending on your age and depending on the salary and the benefits, like maybe you were, but still, so we were taught like, so whatever the minuses are, you can't speak up on them. Mm-hmm. And shout out to the HR definitely wasn't and still isn't for us. Not always for us. So like, yeah, there's a world in which you went to go talk to him, but that HR contact is that man's best friend. Right. And now all of a sudden you getting those, you know, those revenge, you know, that backlash and all that. So yeah, the real answer is there was no correct thing to do guaranteed, because, and the reason is you never should have had to deal with it in the first place. Bingo. You feel me? Like, that's where it really is. Now, unfortunately, obviously you did. So then you got it. Now, you know, now all that comes, that right there was one of those entrepreneur things. Now you realize I can't control everything. Everything that happens to me isn't right. Yeah. But the show got to keep going. You know what I'm saying? So what about more recently? Can you speak to a more recent example where you have more tools now than you used to have? In a situation, maybe not, hopefully not that bad.
No, I'm such a
terrible, but like, you know, a situation that was like that, you know, could have went a different way in your past life, but like you know, you handled it better, which included, you know, the immediate. I like that you said that, the immediate. Okay, let me just feel better. Right. Glass of wine, take a nap. You know, some of the other stuff, those medical marijuana if it's legal, right. If it's not legal, whatever. Just don't admit it on the camera. You know, like whatever, it like the short term, but then the long term, also the sustainable. Like, can you speak to that?
Yeah. So I am the self-proclaimed self-care queen now, right? Okay. Like my piece is priority, and I think there's a misconception that entrepreneurship is this like ultimate freedom, which it is to a certain extent, right? But instead of having one boss, you have like 6 or 7, right? And there are times when maybe 3 of them are acting up. Maybe 3 of them are being super demanding, or, you know, you're not on the same page or whatever the case may be. And that's really stressful as an entrepreneur, because this is like a stream of income, right? And there's not really a lot of buffers, right? So if you work, technically you could go to HR, you could do this, you could do that. There's unemployment. You don't have that in entrepreneurship. So I feel like the pressure can be a lot. And so I am very mindful of that. I make sure to like set really good boundaries. So I'm able to do this. And I know a lot of new entrepreneurs may not be at that place, but it was important for me to have 2 phones. Like, I need to be able to separate. I had a client once. This man called me at 11 o'clock at night because I sent an email. Like, got your email, wanted to chat about it. Sure. Are you serious? In real life, you think. And so then I also learned from an entrepreneur friend, don't let your emails like send, like schedule them, right? Because you're up and you're working, that you're accessible. So
Mhm.
just doing little things to protect your peace has
Right.
really made a world of difference, but also making sure that I make time for myself and intentionally schedule things that, work for me as far as self-care. Um, also, something like at the end of the day is being done with work. Like as an entrepreneur, sometimes, it's hard to shut it off, right? But like scheduling time where you can just watch Netflix or do whatever
Yeah.
good. All
Yeah.
that been
Everything doesn't have to be saving the world.
right.
Not 24 hours a day, 7 days a day.
You're not. You could do it all. So like, try to do a lot, but don't try to do it
Yeah.
all. That's
Right. And have and yeah. At this time, be focused on doing that thing. At this time, be focused on not doing that thing.
Right.
You can, and again, we don't, hustle culture it has killed a lot of us. It will continue to, because people still, I cringe when I see the viral videos that are still talking about, yeah, no, because I do this because I'm the one that's up at 7 when everybody. Meanwhile, like this is dude that opens his phone. There's somebody that, Bitcoin. Everybody knows Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
There was somebody who put in that work 10 years ago. These days, wakes up, sees, maybe not these days, but like last year, wakes up, saw their money grow by 10% and went back to sleep. They didn't outwork me.
Right.
I mean, they technically did because they were smarter back then. But like, yeah, they didn't do it because they got it out the mud and all that. No, they put a system in of success. The system is working for them. They're reaping the benefits.
Right.
That's not. But you can't really get that in 60 seconds. I'm gonna try to clip this and post it.
Yeah.
But it's just me, the Smart Dumb Podcast 130. Thank you for those who do rock with it. But like, I don't have the clout and that this is going to, what I'm saying, immediately hit everybody the same way. But again, I also haven't put in a bunch of work yet to have the influencer reach yet. So that's what that's my responsibility. That's your responsibility now. Like you're doing your thing here now. Not immediately, like I gotta double this today, but like, yeah, in 5 years, you want to look back and say, man, 2022 was cool, but where we are now, but also where we are now was because I was doing the building blocks. You see what I'm saying?
And I think like pacing yourself, right? So like definitely hard work is important and making it right, but like if you can't or don't feel up to it, don't, right? Like you deserve to take a break and all that stuff is not going to, if you take one break, one vacation, etc., that is not going to stop your success. Right?
Yeah. If it is, then your system is bad.
Right.
Straight up. Like, you can't afford to take a week, then what are you, like, something is wrong. If you're a solopreneur to start, that's because that's what you need to do. If you're still doing that,
yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So you had mentioned that. I want to come back to you on it. So what are you, so you're, salute that it's very paramount for you. What are you doing to let people, technology, systems, whatever, work for you so that you're not working as hard as you needed to be to get it off the ground? What are some of those, tools? Efficiency tools?
Man, that's like such a timely question because I'm at the stage where I have to sacrifice a little bit to go to the next level, right? So there's a wall when you are an entrepreneur that there's only so much you can do by yourself. And so to start to hire, and like I have contractors that I work with and I have like part-time people, but like I'm at that place where, to get to the next level, I need to start bringing in like full-time people, that type of thing, right? But that come with that. There's financial sacrifice, there's time that's going to have to go into like setting up those systems, etc. There's time or finances that will have to be put into purchasing the systems, training, all these different things. And it's a hard place to be in, right? Because like sacrificing is always a gamble. Like you sacrifice, pays off, But it's that other part of that planner in me that's like, man, but what if it doesn't? So I'm definitely at that place where I'm, ready to do that and preparing myself to do that. And so there's a few different tools. Like I hired a project manager to help me organize projects because I realized like it's a lot. When you have a lot going on and a lot of different deadlines, it's hard to manage everything, right? So having it was definitely helpful. I got a software system. There's a few of them out there, but I used Dubsado to help streamline things. Something as simple as invoices, right? It takes me forever to send out invoices. And it's like, you would think this is like priority because it's how I get paid. But because I have to manually go in there and I do some like billable hours, it can be a lot. It takes a lot of time. It's not fun. I don't like doing it. So I put it off. But having something that automatically sends invoices is helpful because now I'm not having to worry about that and the flow of business can continue seamlessly. So whatever way you can systemize things, do it. Even if it's investment, it's worth it because at the end of the day, it saves you and it sets you up to be able to, go to the next level.
When did you realize that it's okay to trade money for time?
I don't know. Did I realize that though?
Did you realize?
Oh.
So when you have an automated invoice, right? It doesn't cost.
Oh yeah, it's
okay.
Though I think a subscription on like Dubsado was like maybe $400 a year. So
okay, but okay, back. Yeah, it's an entire year. It's like literally $1 a day. But wasn't there a time in the past where 400? I don't have 400. Yeah, I don't have $400. I got to do that myself. Right. So, I mean, even if you just estimate how much easier it now is to make an invoice, you did, I guess it's subconsciously, decide I'm going to put $400 down. It's going to help me invoice, like whatever my first invoice is probably covered it. And then every other invoice comes much closer, quicker. Money hits much easier than it used to. It stresses me less. There's maybe a little bit less of wine that I felt like I had to drink. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you traded, you gave some money to get time and peace of mind back.
Yeah. That's
so,
put it. I definitely think maybe sometime last year I started to realize, okay, if this is going to make things work smoother,
then it's worth the money, right. And it's to the point where you're not, and then you look 6 months, a year later, you don't even, like, you're not, man, I wasted that money. You know what I'm saying? You don't even remember, like, that's just, so when it renews, like, okay, you know what I'm saying? Like, you might have messed around and let it play again because you're like, nah, this is such a very invaluable tool. Exactly. Here's what I want to, and I'm going to just lead this out for everybody because I'm not going to say there's a right or wrong way, but I've had that conversation that you're saying as far as expansion. At the moment, and then again, we have two different businesses. I really don't plan on hiring a full-time employee anytime soon. I am going to treat my work as a series of projects. So I'm going to hire people for those projects. They'll stay contractors, and then, hey, great job, salute to you. Here you go for that. Some of y'all did great work. You'll be hearing from me soon. Some of y'all never hear me again. Ever again.
Ain't that the
You'll
word?
hear about yourself. I'm going to talk about you on the podcast. Excellent.
It hurts when you hire contractors or whoever, and it's you like, man, like you really feel it, right? As a entrepreneur or small business, because you don't have a lot of money to play with. You don't have a lot of time to play with, and so
right. But the thing about it is, we all understand that, but sometimes we act like full-time employee is just like, if I get a bad full-time employee, that costs a lot of money too. You feel me? Like, so sometimes we operate too much on the what if bad side. That's something else I wanted to say. Like, if you take that risk, I think the worst thing is, what if it goes bad? Is what if it did what it was supposed to do and provided the lesson, but we had in our mind, if it doesn't go this way, it was a fail, And now the whole time there's a lesson to be pulled from it. We're feeling sorry for ourselves and mad at the employee and the money we wasted instead of pulling something from it or maximizing what they had to offer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that's when you don't learn from, whatever it was, especially when it's a mistake, that's actually the worst part, not this thing didn't go too well or how I thought it would.
Right. I agree. And I think I am maybe banking on the commitment someone full-time would have, but you're right, there's varying levels. I've worked with people who they showed up and did their 40 hours with no commitment and no fruitful work. So you never know. You just gotta find good people and hold on to them.
That's it. So I wasn't, that one is an open floor. Again, I got education business. You have a marketing consultant. Even if we had the same business, you do it, your goal mission is different from mine. Your clients. So it's at the end of the day, again, it's back to basics. We try to do all the, make it Mandarin Chinese. If you have good people with you, then that's an even better chance. It's not a guarantee.
Right.
There's no guarantee, but it's giving yourself a better percentage that it's gonna go the way you want to go.
Yeah.
So we're gonna start. I talked a lot. I was the guest today. Thank you for being my host. But what we are, so to be fair with that, my two questions. That last question, the first one is, what's the immediate future, and even some of the long term? Like, what is VP Creative Consulting shooting for?
Yeah.
Coming up in the pipeline. You go ahead.
So I am working on a rebrand, right? I think, when I first started, I just needed to start. So I threw out my current branding and moved forward with that. But working on a rebrand to more so capture who I am, who we are, and the type of work that we do. And working on a equitable marketing course that will be launching next month. And this course will help brands, nonprofits, businesses, big corporations learn more about how to equitably market. So it's definitely the priority is just making sure that we're working with those who have the bigger reaches, right? Like most small businesses typically are more in touch with what's going on and they're able to kind of navigate these spaces, but sometimes big corporations are so far removed from the reality and how their market is coming. So just be reaching out to them and working with them to help navigate that space.
Very good, very good. I lied. I have two questions, but one of them I should have asked. What is the difference? Shout out to Drake. What is the difference between equality and equity?
Yeah. So equality is everyone is the same, right? And then equity is making sure everyone has what they need to be on the level playing field. So equality would be I give everyone a loaf of bread, and even those who already have bread are still getting a loaf of bread, whereas equity is, okay, you already have bread, cool, let me give this person bread, let me give that person bread, let me give this person half a loaf. So making sure you're giving everyone what they need to be on the level playing field as opposed to giving everyone the same thing.
Right. Okay. And that's powerful. I think of two things that I think of is one, I don't know if you ever seen that picture where they say equity is everybody gets that stack, those two boxes. So this guy doesn't already see it in his way up here. Right. And the short one still can't see. Yeah. Equity is get this person so we can see. If this person wanted, this person didn't need anything, we already did. It's a really, it's a really good analogy. And as far as equity, just I'm thinking for myself, I'm about to be very aggressive with negotiating, salary promotion and all that at the end of the year. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to have to tell them that I don't care what the average rate is. Doesn't matter. I don't care. I'm not average. We didn't work this past year to be average. I don't care that the median range, because even when you look at the website, they said here's the median average, and when you keep looking, the smallest reported is 20,000 and highest is double. So yeah, what's up with that guy? Who is that, or girl? You know what I'm saying? Or non-binary? I don't care about none of that.
Right.
What are they doing? What are they doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, and because I'm trying to go ahead. Yeah, I'm glad. You know, I'm glad you randomly said equity again. That clicked. It's like, no, let's
Right.
hit those two. It's a great point. My final for you is, you know, some amazing points you've made. Some great insight you've given. You know, you let us know what is coming up in the pipeline. So, how can people follow you to, you know?
Yeah. So, of course, IG, VP Creative Co. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. Not really on Twitter. And you know what's challenging, right? As a solopreneur, like I work social media for brands as a as a marketer, but I don't have time to do my own. And I realize that, you know, that's definitely something that I should make time for. So my pages are not very active right now, but definitely you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, my website, VP Creative Consulting.
I'm gonna leave this one with you, and again, completely up to you. Last week I was at a handgun qualification class, and there was actually a lawyer there. I found out later why he was there. Like he's not new to shooting. He's, you know, knows the rules already, so he was losing his mind. We go through it, like all these people ask me, you know, like you in class, people ask every single question in the world that has super relevant. He's just like, okay. When we were talking about the whole, if you defend yourself, well, now you have to actually deal with the police coming by, and are you prepared to make sure you don't go to jail for something that you actually were justified to do? Very good conversation. And along the way, they said, even if you're a lawyer, you should not represent yourself. And that lawyer unequivocally was like, absolutely. So the parallel is, should you just send a couple dollars? You know what I'm saying? Bring in an intern. Like you, especially like, you know what you wanted to say. It's just the time to just craft it.
And that's what's so hard, right? Because I know what it is, it's hard to outsource. Because as an entrepreneur, you're already like,
that's a great point.
To figure out what to outsource. So it's like, you don't want to outsource the thing you know, but you're right. Sometimes I think that's part of the not being, you know, not planning everything and letting things kind of happen.
But I'm going to say again, that was just, again, we just spitballing. I'm going to restate your point. Sometimes you are the best, or it sounds great to just say outsource, but you're like, you know, just, we're humans. Like, this is my baby. Why am I giving this to this person? You know what I'm saying? Like, and the trouble, as soon as they put a comma instead of a period, you're going to, it probably in the long run would be best to just handle it yourself. So that, again, which one makes sense? Does it make sense in this case and not that case? Yeah. That's where I come back to the part-time thing. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to do that message the way you need to do it. Sometimes you holler at this person, hey, do this for me. It's 2 cents. Right. Type it up, send it off at 8 o'clock. You know, schedule it on, you know, to go off 3 times a day. You know what I'm saying? So,
and then,
go ahead.
You made about how, like, I feel like Black businesses are critiqued harder, right? So it's like, I think a lot of us as Black businesses, we are terrified of messing up. Like, we don't want to make any mistakes because we know, oh, I'm never going to work with a Black. You're just like, what? How many times has this place messed up your order and this place done this and this place? So I think a part of it goes back to that, too, that internalized pressure to have. But
sometimes it's external, because that, like, I mean, we've seen some trap. Let me go post on my business page. I don't see the problem with 2 top, 2 bottom burgers. They, like Burger King, they were just fine. People kept going. They will cancel me so. They will literally come to my door and say, just go ahead and give me that. Just give me the elderly. You're
right.
done.
Right.
You are done. So it's like some of it actually is justified. But I do agree, more of it is here.
Yeah.
In our own, and we, you know, we got to work on that. And that's, again, that we can't fix that. Right. That doesn't take a long time. A system is there that did that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's going to take a lot of work to get out of it. But I got to say this, like, this was, I mean, an hour flew. An hour absolutely flew. So it's like, you know, the topics, you know, what you do, what you have to contribute clearly is invaluable beyond an episode. I understand why Joe Budden did 3 hours. I'm not doing 3 hours. I'm never doing 3 hours podcast. I don't even know why y'all listen to 3 hours, but it clearly works. There's a lot of podcasts that last that long. So again, I highly encourage, like she lets y'all know where to go, where to follow. I thoroughly encourage, maybe one of these, our conversation spawned you to elaborate on a point, or you came up with a point. By all means, that can be your next, you know what I'm saying? That could be your next post. I definitely encourage them to go listen to you.
Right.
Like, go get your, thoughts from your, mind the way you want to deliver it, because you definitely have a lot for us, particularly because your business model is, focused on so many Black people. And I mean, and the beauty is, along the way, plenty of people from other backgrounds have just seen something about you and they're learning from it. So, like, again, please, the main people she's for, please pay attention, because I promise you somebody else is benefiting from it. So
thank you. We will make this happen. It's been in the works for some time now.
But we did it, and it was worth it. Yeah, I can speak for myself. It was definitely worth it. So I appreciate your time. Definitely, hey, sometime in the future, maybe we spend, because I am coming back to quite a few of the people today. Like, I've accidentally done this for off and on, for 4 or 5 years, right? So there are people that I talked to 3 years ago, and they've done better things. I have learned, to do this a little bit better or whatever. So I definitely feel like I plan to reach out to you and would love to hear it. The next, we'll be talking about the next thing you have and the next thing we're going for.
Right. I can't wait. Let me know.
Definitely. So thank you very much for that. And this has been another episode of the Smart Dumb Podcast. I hope y'all have a fantastic day.